I mean, that's really all we are as humans. We just run patterns until we realize, oh, this pattern isn't serving me. Oh, okay, let me change this pattern. Or this pattern has been so instrumental in my growth, but I didn't even realize I was doing it. I think that's really all we're doing at the end of the day.
When you reread a book or rewatch a movie or re-go see a friend you haven't seen in years, it's different. And it's not that it's different, it's you are different. Your awareness is different. You're not seeing something new in the book or new in the movie, you're seeing something new in yourself.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode number 1678. Be real about your circumstances, not from a scarce place, but hopefully from an empowering place. Today, for episode number 1679, what are your people patterns? I shared a message with Alan yesterday. I was having a conversation with someone on Instagram, and I kind of knew the conversation was going to go the way it went.
Mm-hmm.
So I messaged this person, and I was talking to them about their podcast and how we might be able to help them with their podcast. And they said, well, if you looked up my podcast, you would know I'm already doing this, and this. And it was very much like, if you just took a minute and looked at the podcast, you'd know we were already doing that. I did look, and a lot of the stuff you said you're doing, you're not actually doing. So I just sent a message back saying I did my research, as I always do, and I looked at this, and I looked at this, and I looked at this, and it just looks like you're missing some things that might be beneficial. And their response was not super kind. It's okay. I kind of knew it was going to happen. And I told Alan, I said, I think I'm getting really, really good at understanding entitled energy. Even before I talk to someone, you can kind of tell. And again, maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. You can kind of tell by the way someone talks. You can kind of tell by the way someone shows up. Sometimes you can tell by the words that they use. Looking back on old content is super hard because I can see how much ego I had. Not that I wanted to have ego, but that's what was keeping me safe enough to be able to put myself out there and do this.
But you couldn't see it back then.
Not at the time, no.
Yeah, now we have...
And I don't know if anybody else would see that as ego either. I have no idea.
If they're living in that vibration, then they wouldn't be able to tell either. Because I couldn't tell back then. Not to the extent that I could now. When I watch the clips now, it's, oh, wow.
It's different.
Whoa. We're just way more mature. But you can't, and this is probably one of the takeaways, I'll jump in here quickly. You can't tell where someone is until you're higher on the mountain. The analogy is this, let's say you are climbing the mountain of humility, and you're getting more and more humble, more and more emotionally mature, more and more intelligent, more and more aware. The scientific term is sensory acuity. So let's say I'm climbing the mountain of humility, and this is the one I wanted to use because I feel like I always had a blind spot with humility. As I've become more and more humble and more emotionally mature more than anything, now I'm able to see people who aren't. When you're emotionally immature, you don't know you're emotionally immature until you do the work. Another really good analogy for this that I really hope lands is I started doing therapy in my 30s. It's obvious to me now when I'm with people who haven't. It's very clear to me now. Whereas before I never knew. I could never tell. Kev, when I listen to you and I at episode 100, it's very obvious that I had not yet done therapy. To me. But here's the problem. Ceiling and floor. You can, in a mountain analogy, you can only see below you. You can't see the peak. So you're climbing this mountain, and you can see all the people that are behind you. You can see them. But you can't see the people ahead of you. So let's everyone think of someone who you know for a fact when you're around them, they're more intelligent than you. I know this is potentially triggering, but they're more intelligent than you. You know they're more intelligent than you. You can tell. But you don't know how much. The only way you know, there's one person I'm thinking of right now who's definitely blew my mind with how intelligent they were. And I had that moment of, is this person smarter than me? And it was really weird for me. It felt like one of the only times in my life I've ever been insecure about intelligence. I have insecurities in many other things, but intelligence isn't one of them. And I know that they're more capable than me. Their brain is more capable than mine, which is weird to say out loud, by the way, for me. But I don't know by how much. And so if you are level 10 humble, you can tell when someone's not. But you can't tell when you're not. It's an automatic blind spot if you're not it. So if you've never struggled with self-doubt, you have a blind spot. If you've never been humble, you might think you're humble when you're not. You have no idea. And so, but you can tell when someone's less humble than you. It's this weird, wonky thing. And I really hope that this episode helps everyone make better choices, particularly when it comes to people, because you have these huge blind spots. I definitely did. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time a blind spot affected me, I feel like I had so many blind spots. And when I listen to our old episodes, it's very clear that you and I were emotionally immature in comparison to now.
Yeah.
But how would we have known that back then? I didn't think we were emotionally immature. Did you?
No, I thought I was more emotionally mature than I was previously.
Same.
And that's really all you can...
And that's true.
Yeah. And that's all you can measure.
Imagine if you heard us on the mics at 15. That
Right.
would be brutal.
Well, you know what I was thinking? I was watching something yesterday, and it was something like... I think it was something I saw on one of Barstool's pages. And I know you don't know a ton about Barstool. I don't even know if you know what it is. But...
I do.
I had a moment where I was like, that would be really funny to me like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that's... And again, this is not a judgment. This is me recognizing, right? This is just an observation. But I can't believe it's as big as it is, because all that suggests is that there's that many people who resonate with that content.
Yeah.
And that's just... It's just so interesting to me. It's so interesting. Yeah, when I was 25 years old, I'm sure that all would have been awesome and super funny. But I don't know, that ain't it. That ain't it for me anymore.
You outgrow these things, brother. We do. We all
But not
outgrow
everybody
things.
does. No, but not everybody does.
That's fair. I know.
Not everybody
It's just
does
like when
outgrow
you
it.
and I went back and tried to watch Superbad.
I can't.
And we
I
can't
want
do
to.
it. I know.
I want to watch the movie. I can't do it. I feel bad. That's the best way to put it.
Same. You and I both, you had the courage to bring it up and say, dude, I can't finish this movie with you. But I was thinking the same thing
I
throughout
just felt
it.
so dirty.
Yeah, same. But when we were, dude, that movie came out when we were seniors in high school.
Yeah. 2007.
So we were immature. We didn't know what that meant.
It was my favorite movie of all time at the time. I would watch that. I have watched that movie so many times. Then you take a break. You said this recently, and I'm sure you won't mind me bringing it to the front, but you said, I've had this... Yeah. I just have this feeling I got to watch American Pie to see like what it was about, what it was like at the time.
I was just going to bring that up. I feel called to go see. I need to see the contrast of what used to be. Yeah. What movie did I see? We went and saw Austin Powers is funny, but it's different than it used to be. Emilia and I watched Austin Powers, the first one or the second one, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
That one I'm still good on. I can still watch that.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. That tractor beam, like there's still, so are you going to cry? You going to cry, Scotty? Or whatever. It's still hilarious. So again, some humor is playful. Some is just toxic. And then you got to decide for yourself but you know what the vibration is.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us know intuitively, if we really check in, where our vibration is. When you're wasted, your vibration's low. You just say things, you do things. You're not... All your primitive drives are driving. It's all about food and fun and partying and sex and all that kind of stuff. It's not... You just lower your vibration. It's not an intellectual, sophisticated, high-vibe conversation. And a lot of humor... I was actually thinking about this yesterday. We had an RT event last night, and one of the reasons why certain things are really funny, what was it that was really funny? You ever seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
No.
Okay. It's a rom-com. It's really funny. Essentially what happens is there's this woman who is writing for Cosmo magazine, and she's the how-to girl. So she wants to write an article, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So the idea is I'm going to date a guy and make every mistake, quote unquote, in the book. Be clingy, be needy, Benny Boo 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 Bear, like overly picture every mistake you could possibly make to like scare a guy away. She does that on purpose. It's like an exaggerated version. The reason why that movie is so funny is because she's exaggerating the mistakes that actually are made. It's just she comes in during poker night. She like takes everyone's pizza and gives them cucumber Sammies, right? It's like this. It's like a really funny film. So, anyways, we use that in reference to a relationship talks event we did last night. But to circle back to what we were originally talking about, I want to go watch the American Pie movies because when I was a kid, I was exposed to. I'm just gonna call a spade here. I didn't grow up in a high vibe environment. As a matter of fact, in hindsight, it was actually extremely low vibe. And I need to go back and see what was influencing me. I feel like I had the worst influences ever. Seriously, Kev, I don't know if you feel that way. I feel like I had like awful influences. The more I study my past, the more I realize that I don't think I had almost any good influences. I used to want to believe like, oh, thankfully I had this mentor, and thankfully when I went to college, it started to turn around because WPI is a really really good school, and a lot of really good students go there, and they come from really high vibe families. Not always, but a lot of the time. I was definitely a fish out of water. I never talk about this, but when I went to college, I was the only non-rich kid. Not the only one, but like statistically speaking, most people who go to a school that's $50,000 a year are like from wealthy families. And I came from just very suburban. The nice way to put it is extremely suburban. And so I look back at my past, dude, and I was watching American Pie when I was like 10. And I remember when one of my friends' parents said, because I watched it with my buddy Keith, and his dad got so mad at me. He got so mad at him because he's like, you can't watch that. And in hindsight, I remember back when I was a kid, I was like, why not? What's the big deal? Dude, a 10-year-old watching that movie? Like, think about that.
I watched way worse than that.
I know,
earlier.
But dude, how fucking bad were our influences?
I don't know if that was. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I guess for me, I don't put it on the people that were looking over me because all that stuff was so easy to find. It's not like you had to jump through hoops to find American Pie. It was on TV.
My older sister had it. So I just watched all her movies, VHS.
Yeah,
but dude,
I'm sure I had
there
HBO
should have
and all
been
that.
some guidance of like, dude, if you had a 10-year-old, Kev, are you going to let them watch American Pie?
No.
I'm so mad at my childhood. Honestly, I am. I'm just calling it out. I'm so mad that I wish I had I wish I had us to like learn from, you know? Yeah. I had such poor influences, man. Seriously. And so anyways, I'm just going through it. I don't want to get that on anybody else. But the whole point of that is I need to go back and study where I came from and why. It's the water you're swimming in. So I was emotionally immature, but I didn't know it because I was more mature than everyone else. It's all relative, you know? It's like, imagine a room of all emotionally immature people. You like think you're mature. And then you look back and you go, whoa, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. And now from this higher part in the mountain, for lack of better phrasing, once personal growth became a thing, you just look back and you're like, wow, I really wish that I had, like, why didn't I understand how detrimental those things were? And there's just a lot of toxic masculinity in my upbringing. So again, I don't want to get my stuff on the listeners, but I do want us to call a spade here. Like, did you grow up in an environment that you're proud of? I didn't. I'm just calling it. I did. Same. Okay. And I think that, okay, what do we do about that?
I joke about it. That's what I do about it.
That's what Kevin
I make jokes about myself.
NLU listener, what is happening? I just wanted to jump in here and let you know, if you want to get to the next level faster, we have a free virtual monthly meetup at the first Thursday of every month, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can connect with like-minded people and become a bigger part of this amazing global community. The link to register will be in the show notes.
Well, that ties to the episode. The point of this episode was, what are your people patterns? What are the things that you always recognize? And again, this goes back to judgment versus observation. I'm not saying you judge people when you recognize this. You're observing, and then you can make decisions based on that. What are you missing all the time? What is the stuff that is blatantly obvious to you, and what is the stuff that has plagued you for your entire life because you just cannot seem to recognize it? I've always recognized ego. Arrogance. I'll say arrogance, entitlement. I've always recognized that. I don't know why. It's something that has always turned me off, and I am not interested in spending time with people who are arrogant or entitled. I never have been. I just can't do it. It's like water and oil. It just doesn't mix. And I don't know. That's something that I have always picked up on. But one of the things that I was not picking up on was people who pretend to be super confident that weren't. That's something that I just assumed everybody was more confident than I was, even if they weren't. Because I felt like I was so unconfident that there's no possibility this person could not have more confidence than I do. No way.
What do you think now?
I think they're probably just better at portraying it. Because when I look back, if I look back 1,500, 1,600 episodes, I probably looked confident, but I wasn't. I was probably the most
confident person would notice that you weren't. I think.
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
My therapist said to me yesterday, she's like, "You're becoming so much more confident." And I was like, I think that's good. I really appreciate it, but I've never really identified as not confident. So, but I think what she means is in who I really am.
Yeah. Well, I think there's external and internal. There's
internally confident. Wait.
Yeah.
I think I'm more confident in being who I actually am, whereas before I feel like I would chameleon a lot more.
Yeah, confident of there's confidence of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And then there's confidence of you. Like, who are you? Are you cool with you?
Yeah.
You love you, like the real you? Are you putting the real you out there? Again, easier said than done.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
I think that's what she meant.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know. I wasn't there.
I do agree. Because I always felt confident when it came to external achievement. I don't know how confident I've ever been in being myself around other people. Yeah. I don't think I've ever been confident being my true self around other people. And I think that's finally starting to happen, which is cool. It's uncomfortable, but it's cool. It's nice.
This is all uncomfortable. I feel like the growth, the whatever season of growth you and I are going through is very uncomfortable because it's not. I don't know. It's different. It's more character and who am I? Who am I and who am I supposed to be? And who have I been and was I pretending? Or was that just who I was at that time? A lot of it's just been identity stuff for me.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you'll see a change in the podcast in some way, shape, or form, just as that's the goal, right? That's the point. Look at how much it's changed in 1,700 episodes. It's going to continue changing as we change and evolve and grow. And I think that's an extra level of pressure. Not only are we growing and evolving behind the scenes, but how do you do it in front of the scenes without it getting messy? That's a very scary thing. Maybe more so for me than you.
What breakthroughs do you have from when you did go through like the old messages of Snapchat and all that stuff? I know that's been kind of the theme of the week, but I think it's a good theme. You ever just go back on Facebook and like study your old photos?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
More than I should, probably.
It's so important, like what you used to post and stuff. Like I do that too. My cover photos.
I told Alan, I have the screenshot on my phone. Hold on. This was something that it blew my mind. It was November 21st, 2010. You're not going to be able to read it probably, but let me see. Yeah, you're not going to be able to read it. November 1st, 2010. When you change the way you think, you change the way you live. That was my Facebook post.
So you were 21 years old.
I guess.
Or 20. You were 20, so I was 21. Because we graduated in 2007. I was 18, you were 17.
I was 21 because that was after my birthday that year.
Okay, so you were 21 years old. Change the way you think, change the way you live was your post?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be positive, and I've always wanted to help people. I think that's something I'm really learning. I've always wanted to do some form of this. I just didn't know what it was for most of my life. But I think I also understood that I don't want to be like everybody else, where it's like, it's almost, you're either all growth. When you're teaching growth, you're either all growth or you're no growth.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to be all growth. Like, I don't want to not have whiskey if I want to have whiskey. For me, it just doesn't. Will that change? I don't know. I had a moment last night where I was like, I think I'm done smoking weed. I think I'm done with it. I think I'm over it. Maybe I'll have edibles every once in a while, but like, it's not good for you. And I don't need it.
Well, okay. Awesome. But is it the lung thing? Is it because of jiu-jitsu you're getting choked out easier?
No, I'm getting no. A lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community use marijuana. It's like a thing for some reason. I don't know why.
So what's the thinking underneath why you're quitting?
I don't know. I want to be healthier in that regard. I think that's a big piece of it, is like...
Are you noticing any...
Are you
gassing out easier in
No.
jiu-jitsu?
The last time I smoked, I was like more anxious than normal. And I was like, I don't think this is... I just don't think it's serving me. But yesterday, like, I took an edible, I was watching YouTube videos. It was awesome. I was like super comfortable, having a bunch of deep thoughts. Now I want to do things more from the perspective of a tool, not a crutch. You know, and even that's why it's so hard, because it was less of a crutch than it's ever been, but it still was more of a crutch than I wanted it to be. And that becomes the duality of, I think that's the duality of growth. You might be the smartest, most capable, most confident, most balanced, most patient, best partner, best father, best mother you've ever been, but it might not be to the standard that you want. And that's where things get wonky. And even that is a pattern. I mean, that's really all we are as humans. We just run patterns until we realize, oh, this pattern isn't serving me. Oh, okay, let me change this pattern. Or this pattern has been so instrumental in my growth, but I didn't even realize I was doing it. I think that's really all we're doing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely, that's why I want to go back. That's why I love watching movies. I purposely will pick a movie that I saw when I was a kid, and I'll rewatch it. I remember I rewatched The Rundown, and I was like, oh, this is way different than I thought. It's something as simple as that. Walking Tall. I love that movie, Walking Tall. Because when I was a kid, The Rock was a hero of mine when I was a young boy. And it's just interesting now because it's not the same as it was. That's all.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey was a hero of mine. I didn't know I was... Yeah. It's just... You got to study your life. And when you're going to notice patterns. You're going to notice things that you admire. You're going to notice what you envy, what you don't, what you care about, what you don't care about. You're going to notice where you've grown and where you haven't. I was talking recently about, I watched Bring It On. That's another movie that I saw when I was a kid. It came out in 2000. And I thought Eliza Dushku, she was one of my first crushes. And I thought she was the hottest thing. And it's just perspective. It's not that she's not attractive. Emilia's, in my opinion, significantly more attractive. It's like, whoa, little childhood Alan is like, good for you, man. You know? But that's so cool. You learn by going back. Very last thing, I know we got to jump. I said this in book club. I said, everybody talks about being present. I think that's some bad advice. I really do. I'm all for being present, but you can't. I have a 63-year-old client. I said, imagine what it's going to be like to take the last 63 years of wisdom and experience and understanding and learning and contemplation and then invest it in your 64th year. Like, that's how you grow. You don't want to just stay present all the time. You need to go into the future and vision and dream and articulate and design and figure out where you want to live and what you want to do and who you want to be and what's your career. You've got to go in the future. And then you got to go back and say, wow, okay, in hindsight, I did grow up in a low vibe environment. Okay, in hindsight, I did drink too much. Okay, in hindsight, I did boom, boom. Not to beat yourself up, but to accept what was, accept the reality, the higher awareness that you have, because when you reread a book or rewatch a movie or re-go see a friend you haven't seen in years, it's different. And it's not that it's different. It's you are different. Your awareness is different. You're not seeing something new in the book or new in the movie. You're seeing something new in yourself. And there's so much value in that. So
I think we should do an episode at some point. I just marked it down. Past, present, future percentage. What percentage do you spend in each?
33% in each.
No.
I love it, man.
I disagree. I don't know.
Podcast's been fun lately.
Yeah, they have been. They have been.
No, I disagree.
Well, I think again, that's the thing. Like, I don't want there to be any. We get to podcast for a living, so life is really good.
Yeah.
But when we're going through stuff, sometimes it's hard to figure out who to show up as. Not that either of us ever are trying to be or want to be inauthentic. Sometimes I don't know what authentic is because I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're going through. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback lately on the podcast. Oh, it's been super funny, and you guys have been way more conversational. That I think that's good, and I think that's what we want to do. But that's because there was a time where Alan and I would literally just jump on here and each do monologues, and then that would kind of be like the end of the episode. And I was like, I don't know if I like that anymore.
The 5 easy tips to it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's us anymore. I don't know. All right, we got to go because we're out here jeffing. If you are looking for a group of like-minded individuals who talks about weird stuff like this, join Next Level Nation. If you are looking for a wonderful place to go deeper, learn more about yourself, grow, evolve, and have a higher level of accountability to read, join book club every single Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they are reading The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, a great book. Tomorrow, for episode number 1680, this was actually a thought I had yesterday. The price tag for your goals. When you go and buy something, when you go and buy a car, you go buy a book, whatever, there's a price tag on it. And you know exactly how much it's going to cost. What if your goals had a price tag on it? That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep evolving. Next Level Nation.